All right, friends. Today we are going to be learning how to do long division. And you guys might be thinking, that seems really hard. I don't know how to do that. But I want you to know it's really not that bad, okay? We're going to look over some steps that we can do together, and that is going to help us figure out how on earth we can divide a big number like 102 by a number like 6, okay? So first, let's talk about why do we use long division, right? Why can't I just use my regular division? Like, I know how to do 12 divided by 6, Miss Jess. Why can't I just do 102 divided by 6? Well, let's think of division as multiplication, but backwards, okay? So I know that seems kind of silly because stress are two different things. Yes, I know, but we can use multiplication to do division. So if we had 12 divided by 6, what you're actually doing is you're counting by 6s until you say 12, right? Because if I know that 12 divided by 2 or divided by 6 is 2, then I also know that I count by 6s 2 times to get 12, right? 6, 12. So that's essentially what we do when we divide. Do you really want to count by 6s up until you say 102? Because I don't. I think I'd run out of fingers to count on. So we can also think, what if we had 10,224? Then you really don't want to count by 6s until you say that, right? So when we encounter something like that, we're going to use long division. And once again, I know it sounds scary and it looks scary, but it's not, okay? So let's look at our steps that I've written down over here. I've made up some hand motions that help me to remember the different steps for long division, and I think they might help you too. All right, so I'm going to show you, and then I want you to do them with me, okay? So first we divide, and that is going to be like our fraction bar, okay? That might be a word that you've heard before, maybe not, but that's what our arm is going to be representing, okay? Our fraction bar. After we divide, we multiply, and we put our arms in an X, and that's just like our multiplication sign. And then we're going to fold our arms like this so that they're just straight across, and that is going to be like our subtraction sign. Lastly, we're going to drop our arms down because that represents bring down, okay? So divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. One more time, do it with me, okay? Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Good job. So those are the steps that we're going to be using when we go through our long division problems today. So first, let's look at our first step, divide. You might be thinking to yourself, Miss Jess, I know we're dividing. It's called long division. Yes, you're right. But there's also other steps we have to use, right? So we need to think the first part we're going to do is divide, and then we're not going to divide anymore. We're going to multiply, and then we're going to subtract. Crazy. This is all division, right? Weird. Math is weird. So let's look. What are we going to divide by? Well, we know we're dividing 102 by 6, but we don't know how to do that, so we got to break it down a little. Let's look at our first number. We have a 1. Can I divide 1 into 6 different groups without having to make a fraction? That means without having to break my 1 up into a bunch of pieces? I don't think so. If I've only got 1 cookie and I've got 5 friends plus myself that want to eat the cookie, I'm going to have to cut my cookie up, right? And I want a whole cookie. So we're not going to do that. Another way I can think about it is if I count by 6s, do I say the number 1 or a number that is less than 1? Nope, because I just say 6, and then 12, and then 18. And those are getting bigger, not smaller. So now what do I do? If I can't divide 1 by 6, well, let's add in our next number, a 0. Now, we're not just forgetting about the 1. We're not just going to do 6 or 0 divided by 6 now. We're going to put them together, and we're going to do 10 divided by 6. So now, if I have 10 cookies and I have myself and 5 friends, so 6 people. Can each of us get a whole cookie? Yeah. So we know that's going to work. So now let's count by 6s until we say 10 or something that is just less than 10. Okay, so we go 6, 12. Oh, too high. We want 10, and 12 is bigger than 10. So I'm going to put that finger down, okay? Just once. We said 6 one time until we said 10 or less than 10. So now I'm going to write my 1 time above the 0, okay? That was a bad one. So my 1 is going to go right there above my 0. Because if I put it here above my 1, that would kind of trick me later on in my steps. So I always want to line it up with the last number, okay? So that was our divide step. Now let's multiply. Well, Miss Jess, what are we going to multiply? This is division. Well, we got to look. When I counted by 6 one time, what did I get? In other words, what is 6 times 1? Well, any number times 1 is itself. So 6 times 1 is 6. Okay? And if you look here, I'm going to line it up with my 1 and my 0. Okay, so that's my multiply step. We did our divide. We did our multiply. Now, next is our subtract. So now I'm going to do my 10 minus 6. Okay? Be careful. We're not going to use the 2 just yet. So pretend that guy's not even there. We're just doing 10 minus 6. And that's going to give me 4. Okay? So we did divide. We did multiply. We did subtract. Now we're going to bring down. Well, what are we going to bring down? Let's see. I used my 1 and my 0 already. Now I have a 2 as the next number. So I'm going to take my 2 and I'm going to bring it down here. So just real quick, there's only a 2 left, right? What if I had a 1 here? Would I bring down the 2 and the 1? No, I would only bring down the 2. I bring down one number at a time, or else I'm going to get the wrong answer, okay? So that's super important to keep up in your brain. Only bring down one number at a time. So now I have 42. You see, I got my 4 from subtraction and my 2 from bring down. Now I have 42. So instead of doing 102 divided by 6, now I'm going to do 42 divided by 6. Okay? I've already gone through all my steps, so now what? Well, I start back at the top, okay? So now we are going to divide 42 by 6. In other words, how many times can I count by 6 until I say 42 or something right before 42? Let's count. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. There's my number. And how many times did I count by 6 until I said 42? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So I counted by 6s 7 times to get 42. Notice I'm lining up my 7 with my 2s. And it's a little crooked, but you get the point. Okay? So now we're going to multiply. Do you remember what we multiplied last time to get our 6? Well, we multiplied our 6 times our 1, right? And that gave us 6. Now, I'm going to multiply my 6 times my 7, since that's the one that we just did. So 6 times 7. Well, we already know that because we're multiplication masters. 6 times 7 is also 42, right? So I'm going to write that right underneath. Okay? And now I'm going to subtract. So before we subtracted 10 minus 6, now we're going to subtract 42 minus 42. So if I have 42 pieces of pizza and I eat all 42 pieces of pizza, how many pieces of pizza am I going to have left? 0. And I'll probably have a bellyache too. Don't eat that much pizza. 42 minus 42 is going to give me a 0. Okay? Now our last step, bring down. Well, I've already used my 1, I've already used my 0, and I've already used my 2. Do I have anything else after my 2? So I have nothing to bring down. That means that we're all done with the problem, and my answer is 17. Okay, so 102 divided by 6 is 17. So see, it's not that bad. Next, we're going to do another problem together, but this time there's going to be something just a little bit different at the end, okay? But don't be scared. It's not a hard different. It's just a different. So now let's do 94 divided by 4. All right, we're going to use the exact same process that we've been using. We're going to use divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. First, divide. So if we remember from our last example, I'm going to take my first number and I'm going to say, can I divide 9 into 4 groups and not have a fraction? In other words, can I count by 4s until I say 9 or something a little bit less than 9? Yes, because 9 is bigger than 4, so that's going to work. So now let's see, how many times do I count by 4s then? Well, we have 4, 8, 12, too high. Boop, I'm going to put him down. Just twice, right? So I'm going to take my marker and right above my 9, because I want to line it up, I'm going to write a 2. Because I counted by 4s 2 times until I said 9 or something just before 9. Now I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to do 4 times, what do you think? 2, okay? 4 times 2, what's that going to give me, multiplication masters? 8. Very good. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, so I did my divide, I did my multiply, now I'm going to subtract, okay? So I'm going to do 9 minus 8. And when I do 9 minus 8, I get a 1, right? Okay, so now we're on bring down. So let's look right here. I've already used my 9. Next, I'm going to use my 4. And I'm going to bring that right down to here. That's going to give me a 14. Okay? So, once again, what do I do now? I've already used up all my steps, Miss Jess. Right, so now we start over. But instead of dividing 94 divided by 4, we're going to do 14 divided by 4. And see how the number always gets smaller? That's going to make it easier for us, huh? Okay, so let's divide. How many times can I divide 14 into 4 equal groups? Or how many times do I count by 4s until I say 14 or something less than 14? Let's check. 4, 8, 12, 16, too high. Only 3, right? 4, 8, 12. Because if I did 4 times, I would be bigger than 14. And that's illegal. We can't do that. So I'm going to write my 3 up here. And I'm going to line it up, okay, with my 4s. Next, I'm going to multiply. 4 times what? Well, last time I know we got an 8 because we did 4 times 2. Now we're going to do 4 times 3. And that's going to give me 12. Okay, so I did my divide. I did my multiply. Now I'm going to subtract. What am I going to subtract, do you think? If I did 9 minus 8 before, now I'm going to do 14 minus 12. Okay? And what's that going to give me? If I have 14 and I take away 12, I'm going to get a 2, right? Okay, now let's bring down. I've already used my 9. I've already used my 4. I don't have anything else to bring down, right? But look, I still have a number right here. Miss Jess, what does that mean? We didn't have that last time. No, we didn't, because last time it was an even division, which means there were no remainders. Okay? this time we do have a remainder. So if we get to a point where we're supposed to bring down a number, but there's nothing there, but then our number right here when we subtracted is not a 0. Remember last time it was just a 0, so it didn't matter. But if it's not a 0 and there's nothing else to bring down, that's what's going to be called our remainder. And I'm going to write that as R remainder and then my number. In this case, 2. Okay, and this is going to be my answer. So what does this mean, 23R2? Well, that means if I take my number 94 and I divide it into 4 groups that are equal without any fractions, we don't want to cut up anybody's cookies, I'm going to have 2 left over that don't have a group, right? So 23 with 2 left over, or 23 remainder 2. And sometimes we're going to have that, sometimes we won't, okay? So let's go over our steps one more time, guys. Ready? Do it with me. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. And that is our steps for long division. I hope that you guys understood this just a little bit better. And I want you to be kind to yourselves, okay? If you get stuck or if you think that this is still tricky, that's okay, all right? Not all of us are really amazing at math. Sometimes it takes us a little bit more practice, but that's all right. We don't have to be perfect at it. We don't have to understand it the very first time. So take some deep breaths, practice some more examples. Ask me if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to help with some more examples, okay? And just always remind yourself, say, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make mistakes. I am still enough. I am still smart, and I am still so very loved, okay? All right. Bye, guys.